This is a series of videos demonstrating some of the methods I used to build this simple running layout. The first video, number 169, was about curve spacing and transferring a computer drawing of my proposed track plan from a computer printout to drawing it full-sized on my board. Having the drawing on the board made it easy to glue down the Woodland Scenics foam track bed and then glue the track on top of that. It also allowed me to see what it was going to be like on the finished board. I had made some minor adjustments to the board when I constructed it, so it was not exactly as I had drawn it into the AnyRail computer program. The second video, number 170, was demonstrating my method for gluing the foam track bed to the board. The total length of the 3 track loops is about 80 feet altogether, or 25 meters. It took about an hour to glue down the track bed. It takes 3 minutes to watch me do it. I recommend watching these 2 videos prior to watching this one if you haven't already done so. This video is how I connected the dropper wires to the track, fed them through the table and connected them to the feeder wires under the board. I used multi-stranded audio cable for my main feeders, as I had also done on Farland. It was inexpensive and works well. Since my bench that supports the track is small, I could stand it up on its side to do the wiring underneath. This is a better method than crawling under the table to do the wiring, as I must do on the Farland layout. I also have the layout supported on sawhorses, so it is a good height to work on the track or trains while sitting in my chair. The whole layout is light enough that I expect to be able to put it on the floor on its side and stand it up against the wall. It could easily be carried out and moved to another room, house, or train exhibition if desired. For this N-scale 1:160 layout, I decided to solder track joints, except where turnouts are connected. If I want to replace a turnout that has failed, it will be easiest if they are not soldered. To keep things simple, I am using Insulfrog type switches, turnouts, points, pick your favorite word. In order to prevent melting the sleepers or ties, I used alligator clips as heat sinks on both sides of the solder joint. I also used a low temperature solder and set my soldering iron for the minimum temperature needed to melt the solder. You should tend the soldering tip of your soldering iron so heat flows quickly from it to the rail and the solder. Thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. When complete, I always use my track rubber to scrub off any flux or solder that is adhering to the top of the rails. The friction will melt the solder and it can be rubbed away in this manner. Here I am using a stick-on clip to hold the wires up under the board. I like these because you can unbuckle them when you want and then rebuckle them as needed. This is in contrast to other types that use zip ties and must be cut and discarded to disassemble them. With this type of stripper, I can cut the insulation and pull it back without cutting the conductor. This allows me to wrap the dropper wires around the feeder wire and not have the expense for extra clips or other connectors. It is effective, reliable, and cheap. It will also allow for disconnection later. If soldered, it loses that flexibility. I recommend stripping about 25 millimeters or an inch for the wrap. The droppers are 22 gauge copper single strand PVC insulated hookup wire. Matching the length and twisting the droppers together will make it easier to get them apart later if need be. A little plastic electrical tape will keep the two joints from touching and shorting out. Or you can just offset them enough so that it won't be possible. When soldering rails together on a curve, I use temporary track nails to hold the track straight and in position while soldering. Then I remove the nails. This is an all-glued installation. I've used no nails. Dropper wires from the track to the feeders were soldered to the outsides of the track in a similar manner. The difference is it takes more heat, so I used hemostats instead of alligator clips as heat sinks. Those are the hemostats. You may notice I soldered the droppers at a rail joint in one instance. This is how I bend the wires prior to soldering along the web. I do not find them obtrusive when connected this way. Once again, it is quick and simple. The ballast will easily hide them. I recommend clamping the table to the sawhorses when it is upright. You wouldn't want it to fall. Good. Now that's done. Now I can go get some of my trains and run them, ones I haven't seen for a year. Thanks. See you again soon. Bye.